This deck tech is brought to you by 9th CX and Card Academy. Please check out our sponsor Card Academy for all of your card and supply needs. Hello everyone, this is Michael with 9th CX here bringing you another Puyo Puyo deck for your viewing pleasure. We've got a red, yellow, blue list for this time because, well, the lists that we put up before were nice theory crafts, but we wanted to put out something that was actually tested. Now, for the record, this list so far has been doing quite well in locals, so I wanted to share it with you all, just to show you what I've done with this set. So, right away, let's get into it. At level 0, we've got 17 characters. We've got a set of the Ringo, the runner Ringo, a set of the Ringo Ricky clone, 4 copies of the KO'd Amitie, which has a effect as long as you have 2 or less stock. It gets plus a level and plus 1000 power. 2 copies of the Sig Brainstormer, which is the salvage Brainstormer, gives your front and center immunity to level reversers. 2 copies of the Draco Brainstormer, gives your front and center 500 power and is a searcher. When you pay 1 rest 2, Sig only needs to pay 1 rest himself. And a copy of Red Papyrus. When it attacks, you can give another character you control plus 1000 power until end of turn. And when you play it, you can ditch a climax to salvage a character whose level is equal or less than your current level. Moving on to level 1, we've got 11 cards here. We've got 1 copy of the Draco 0 stock, basically 2000 power backup. 2 copies of the Azusa or Akatsuki clone level support Raffine. 2 copies of the Klug, which is a kind of a beat stick, gets -1 level on the field, but gets plus 500 power for each other level 0 you control. 3 copies of KO'd Carbuncle, as long as it's front and center, it gets plus 1 soul, and it has Clock Encore. And 3 copies of the Bayoe Amitie. And this one has a CX combo with, of course, the CX of the same name. When your opponent levels up, as a result of the CX being there, you can salvage a character. And it's also a level reverser. It's also considered a red Puyo when it's on stage, but that's not really relevant for this deck. And yes, it is possible to get this salvage trigger to happen multiple times in a turn. It's very rare, but it is possible. At level 2, we've only got 5 cards. We've got 3 copies of Cancel. It's the kind of the anti-damage counter. You can't play it if you have 1 or fewer climaxes in your waiting room. When you play it, you discard a climax, and if you do, it gives the character across from the character you're battling with. This can't deal damage to players until end of turn. As well as 2 copies of Carbuncle being Whimsical, which gives the characters you control in front of it plus 1000 power and hexproof, meaning that they can't be targeted by your opponent's abilities or effects. And at level 3, we've got 9 cards. We've got 2 copies of Risukuma-senpai, 3 copies of Amitie Very Good, and everybody's favorite, Arle. Now, these level 3s can actually be played ahead of time if certain conditions are met. Risukuma-senpai can be played at level 2 as long as your opponent has 3 or fewer climaxes in waiting room. When played from hand or memory, he heals, and when you do play it from hand, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a climax, you send him to memory, and then at the beginning of your next draw phase, he comes back, and then you heal again. Amitie Very Good can be played a level early if you have the KO'd Amitie level 0 in your clock. It gets plus 500 power for each other Puyo you control, and when played, you look at the top X cards of your deck, where X is the number of Puyos you control. Choose 1 card and put into your hand, or up to 1 card, put into your hand, and the rest into your waiting room. And lastly, we have the dreaded Punish Burn combo beast Arle. On play, she gets a Punish Burn trigger, but with the CX combo, she gets yet another Punish Burn trigger, and that's pretty much it. The CX spread is a 4-4 split between 4 plus 2 soul and 4 gates or pants. And if you notice here, These, it's perfect climaxes actually don't do anything with the deck besides get the +2 soul back into the hand. This was deliberate because that's just how I wanted the deck to work in this case, to maximize the number of times you play +2 soul, maximize the level 1 and level 3 combos going off, and also just staying ahead in damage. So how do we use this deck? Well, level 0 is actually pretty tricky with this deck because while you do want to get some advantages by being able to run around and use Ringo to Ricky yourself into other level 1s, it can get awkward if your opponent gets to level 1 before you do. Because the ideal situation, of course, is to be just at level 1 while your opponent's right at the brink of leveling up, so as to get your +2 soul combo on to be able to salvage a bunch, to get set for the mid game and then by extension the late game. But if that's not so much the case, well, we've got a bunch of other characters to help pick up that slack. We've got the Carbuncle to deal major soul damage and be a really annoying character that's stuck there if you need to. The Klug is there to more or less be burst power. The Raffine is very important, but not necessarily at level 1 because of the Akatsuki or Azusa searching effect. And one Draco is really more relevant for use at level 2 when you're trying to defend your Risukuma-senpai or your Amitie there. That said, once the level 1 is pretty much done, you either swing and miss from the level 0 to level 1 break points or level 1 to level 2 points against your opponent, because after that, trying to get them to 2 to 3 with this CX combo you're going to receive kind of diminishing returns there. At level 2, you do get access to cancel and you do have the Carbuncle, but the real meat and potatoes, so to speak, is in your Amitie and Risukuma-senpai. You want to heal early just to be able to get ahead and stay ahead, and your Amitie will be able to filter through, ideally get you set up for the super late game. And if these guys have not gotten the work done by the time you're level 3, well, Arle comes in to save the day and just burn down the opponent. And the best part about this is that you get to side attack with +2 soul. So even if they wall up with a bunch of level 3s, you can go, oh, you're at 3-4, great. 3 Arles, +2 soul, side, 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 and it takes some kind of miracle to be able to survive that. So that's the deck. There are some additions that can be made that actually were from week to week. And I'll just go through those cards very briefly here while we have the time. At one point, the Risukuma-senpai was the Misaccord, which is kind of the Haruna-ish burn on play. I didn't really like this one in this deck, simply because it couldn't be played out a level early. The point of level 3 in this deck was pretty much to focus on the Arles, so that's why she kind of got the boot here. The Amitie backup at level 2, which is filtering, also got cut in favor of the Draco, just because I want to conserve stock. Very first, if you remember, draft of this deck contained the Witch and CX combo, but I liked the double CX combo synergy here with Arle and Amitie, as opposed to just the single CX combo with Witch. Now others might say, oh, but what about being able to gain card advantage with this CX combo in blue, or being able to refresh? And I'm probably going to test these guys out in the future, but I mean, even if you do want to refresh with one copy of this, I mean, that's not going to make a huge impact, whereas this CX combo, it could be worth looking into, but it will weaken the level 1 and level 3 game, basically fundamentally changes how the flow of the deck will go in terms of what it does in the early game. So, I mean, if you prefer a more defensive, more steady strategy, I'd say you can swap this out, and you might even be able to swap out the +2 soul for the 1k1 bounce version. But again, that's just for testing. It's another option. And also the Global 500, it's a top check. So if your Risukuma-senpai does get kicked to memory for a turn, you can clear that climax if you want. It's been kind of in a utility slot next to the Red Papyrus because The Papyrus has been kind of an iffy slot, so it might make the cut for another week, but it's another option to consider. And also another level 2 to consider would be the level Punisher here. If he battles somebody that's a higher level than your opponent, sends it to stock. So it's a interesting way to delete it. Also is able to search for Arles on play. So again, it's something to consider. I'm not sure if it's really necessary for the deck, but it's something to think about. Now, as far as the deck's macro game is concerned, how powerful it is, I'd say that this is definitely something to keep an eye out for, especially because of the range of plays that it can make. After all, it's not. It's kind of predictable in that you can expect it to try to level you up around level 2 to be able to salvage. You can anticipate an anti-damage counter, and you can also expect that it will play very big characters a level ahead. And of course, if for those of you who still have haunting memories of TLR, well, they aren't going to go away because Arle is pretty much here. So I'd say that this series is up there, with the mainstays that we might see in a given competitive environment like Girlfriend Beta, Concale, TLR, and Charlotte. I think that this specific deck still needs work, but this draft as it is still a great starting point. I'd recommend it for testing, recommend it for play. I was able to, with the older version, walk in and do a lot of damage with the build. So granted, it still needs a lot more testing, and we'll probably be testing it out more in the future. And if you have any questions, please be sure to visit our Facebook page or comment below. Make sure to subscribe, and please visit our sponsors, Card Academy. Thanks for watching.